Once again, very good morning to all. Welcome to the Durga Soft. So our course title is Core Java. First, let me introduce to myself. I am Shiva Chaitanya. I have 16 years experience in teaching field. Okay. See, our course title is Core Java. Now today in this session, I will explain about what is Java, what is the purpose of Java, what are the parts of Java, and what is platform dependency and what is platform independency. So these things I will explain in today's session. So first see what is Java. What is Java? So generally what is Java? Can you please give response through the messages? So generally what is Java? What is Java? Java is a Java is a programming language. Java is a programming language. So what is Java? Java is a programming language. To say more clearly, this Java is a high level programming language. So this Java is a high level programming language. So Java is a high level programming language. So when this Java language was introduced, in 1995, officially first version of Java is released, and this software is the product of Sun Microsystems. So Sun Microsystems company released this software in 1995. So Sun Microsystems company developed this Java language and they officially released the first version in 1995. Later, this Sun Microsystems is undertaken by Oracle company. So Sun Microsystems was undertaken by Oracle company. So now Java is the product of Oracle company. So initially Java developed by Sun Microsystems. Later it was undertaken by the Oracle company. Now Java is the product of Oracle company. So in the 1995, first Java version was released. That was released by Sun Microsystems. So Sun Microsystems company released this software in 1995. Okay. Then who is the father of Java? So who is the father of Java? James Gosling is the father of Java. So James Gosling and his team developed this Java language. Okay. So he played lead role in developing the Java. So James Gosling played lead role in developing the Java. So he is the father of Java. Okay. So I explained 3 points just now. So what's the first point? Java is a programming language. It is a high level programming language. And when Java was introduced in 1995, Java was introduced. Which company introduced this Java software? Sun Microsystems released this Java software. Later, it was undertaken by the Oracle company. And who is the father of this Java language? James Gosling is the father of Java language. Okay. So here, observe the first point here. What is the first point here? I'm calling this Java is a high level programming language. Java is a high level programming language. Now, listen, what is high level programming language? So there are two types of languages. First one is high level language and the second one is low level language. So how many types of language are there? Two types of language are there. What are those? First one is high level language and second one is low level language. Then what is a high level language? High level language means human understandable languages. Human understandable languages are called high level languages. Human understandable languages are called high level language. So we can understand that code very easily, but computer cannot understand this code. Okay, what are the examples for high level languages? Like C++ language is there. The C++ is the high level language. Java language is there. Java is the high level language. Python language is there. Python is the high level language, like that. C sharp language, VB language, COBOL language. All these are the high level languages only. Okay, so these are the human understandable languages. So computer cannot understand this code directly, but we can understand this code. So those languages are called high level languages. Then what are low level languages? Low level languages means system understandable languages. So system understandable languages are called low level languages. So computer can understand this code directly, we cannot understand this code. So computer understandable languages, system understandable languages are called low level languages. Human understandable languages are called high level languages. Then what is low level language? What are the examples for low level languages? So low level languages examples are, first one is machine language. Machine language, in the machine language, uh, we write the code in the form of zeros and ones, just like binary language. So we write the code in the form of ones and zeros. So this is computer understandable language, we cannot understand this code. Okay, so another language is there, that is assembly language. This assembly language is also example for low level language. In the assembly language, this is also system understandable language, but we use some English words. We use some English words in the assembly language, but those are called as mnemonics. Those are called as mnemonics. So in the assembly language, we use mnemonics, and in the machine language, we write the code in the form of zeros and ones. So these low level languages code can be directly understood by the system. It can directly communicate with the hardware. Okay, so see here, uh, in the assembly language, we use what? Mnemonics. Then what are the examples for mnemonics? Such as, for example, for addition, we use the mnemonic ADD. For subtraction, we use the mnemonic SUB. To move the data from one place to another, we use the mnemonic MOV. For division, we use the mnemonic DAV. So this ADD, SUB, MOV, DAV, these are called what? Mnemonics. So in the assembly language, we use mnemonics. Some code can be understood by the computer directly, some code cannot be understood. So that's why we use assembler in the assembly languages. So assembler is the translator. Nowadays we are using compilers and interpreters, but in the assembly language, they were used assembler, that was the first translator. Okay, so in the assembly language, we use the assembler to translate the code. Okay, so these are the low level languages. And C++, Java, Python, these are the examples for high level languages. Okay, now I hope you understood what is high level language and low level language. Okay, see, so high level languages means human understandable languages, low level language means system understandable languages. High level languages examples are C++, Java, Python, C sharp, VB, such type of languages are high level languages. Okay, machine language, assembly language, these are the examples of low level language. Then what is the purpose of high level language? Why we are using high level languages? So the main purpose of high level languages is we can develop application software. So to develop the application software, we are using the high level languages. So the main purpose of high level languages is we can develop the application software. Then what is the purpose of low level languages? Using low level languages, we can develop the system software. So using high level languages, we can develop application software. Using low level languages, we can develop system software. Using low level languages, we cannot develop application software. And using high level languages, we cannot develop system software. So high level languages are used to develop the application software only, and low level language is used to develop the system software only. So in the software, two types of softwares are there. First one is system software, second one is application software. In the software, two types are there. First one is system software, second one is application software. Okay, then what are the examples for system software? For the system software, examples are OS, operating system. Operating system comes under system software. Next, compiler. Compiler is the system software. Next, interpreter. Interpreter is the system software. And last one is device driver. So these four are comes under system software. These four are comes under system software. So what are the examples for system software? Operating system, compiler, interpreter, and device driver. Okay, so all these softwares are used to run and manage the functionality of system. If we want to run the system and if we want to manage the functionality of the system, these things are required. Operating system, compiler, interpreters, device driver, these are used to run the system. That's why these are comes under system software. Okay, then uh, if operating system is not there, what will happen? If operating system is not there, we cannot create our own files, we cannot create our own folders, it does not manage the memory, and it does not perform the booting process. We cannot do anything with the computer, we cannot communicate with the computer if operating system is not there. Okay, so that's why this operating system is required to run the system, it is compulsory to run the system, so that comes under system software. Next is see about compiler and interpreter. So what are compilers and interpreters? These are the translators. Compiler and interpreter are the translators. So these two are the translators. They translate high level instructions to the low level instructions. They translate high level instructions to the low level instructions. So just now I told that our language is what? High level language. Computer language is what? Low level language. Computer cannot understand our language, we cannot understand computer's language, so that's why we require some translators. Those are what? Compiler and interpreter. See, for example, two persons are there, one person knows only Telugu language and another person knows only Tamil language. Two persons are there, first person knows only Telugu language and second person knows only Tamil language. Now they want to communicate with each other, so how they can communicate? Okay, they don't know language, so that's why they met another person who knows Telugu and Tamil. Okay, if first person talks in Telugu, the third person is working as a translator. Okay, he translates, the third person translates Telugu instructions into the Tamil. This third person knows two languages, Telugu and Tamil. First person knows only Telugu language, second person knows only Tamil language, so they want to communicate each other, first person and second person want to communicate each other, so that's why they met another person, third person. That person knows two languages, Telugu and Tamil. If first person talks in Telugu, third person translates that into Tamil. If second person is talking in Tamil, this third person translates that into the Telugu, so he is working like translator. So similarly, here compiler and interpreter are also translators. They translate high level instructions to the low level instructions. Okay, so you know that compiler and interpreter are the translators. So compiler translates all program at once. If the program has 100 instructions or 1000 instructions or 1 lakh instructions, all those instructions will be translated at a time by the compiler. Then what is interpreter? This interpreter translates line by line. After translating one line, that translates another line. So interpreter translates line by line, compiler translates all instructions at once. So next one is device driver. So this device driver is also required to run the system. For example, I want to use the printer. To work with the printer, we have to use printer drivers. If printer drivers are not there, we cannot use that printer device. When we purchase the printer, uh, seller gives one CD to us or DVD to us. That DVD contains printer drivers. So we have to install those printer drivers in our system. Okay, then only we can take the printouts. Otherwise, we cannot take the printouts. We cannot communicate with the printer. So to communicate with the printer, we have to use what? Printer drivers. Similarly, I want to enjoy the music, so I require sound drivers. Okay, so I want to work with the scanner, I require scanner drivers. So to communicate with the devices, this device driver software is required. So operating system, compiler, interpreter, device driver, all these four are used to run and manage the functionality of the system. So that's why those are comes under system software. Okay, so this is about system software. To develop such type of system softwares, we are using low level languages like assembly language and machine language. Okay, then what is application software? So what are the examples for application software? like we are using MS Office. To perform office applications, we are using MS Office. In the MS Office, tools are there like MS Word. To create the documents, we are using MS Word. Okay, to create the presentations with the slides, to create the presentations, we are using PowerPoint. Okay, so all those are what? Those are comes under application software. Okay, to watch the movies, we are using one software like Windows Media Player, VLC Media Player, Power DVD, such type of players we are using. All those are comes under application software only. So to read the PDF files, to read the PDF files, we are using Acrobat Reader. That is, comes under application software only. All the shopping malls, so many shopping malls are using their own software. Banks are using their own software. Hospitals are using their own software. Okay, all those are comes under what? Application software. So to develop such type of application softwares, we are using what? High level languages. So to develop such type of application softwares, we are using the high level languages. So using Java, we can develop application software only. We cannot develop the system software. But using C language, we can develop high level language, we can develop application software as well as system software. Using C language, we can develop application software as well as system software. That's why C language is called a middle level programming language. C language comes under middle level programming language that has high level language features as well as low level language features. Okay, so this is about high level language and low level language. Okay, I hope you understood about high level language and low level language. Okay, can you please give response? Okay, so this is about high level languages and low level languages. Okay, now see, so just now we discussed these points. Java is a high level programming language. Okay, to say more clearly, I'm calling this Java as the general purpose programming language. And this Java is the general purpose high level programming language. So what is Java? Java is the general purpose high level programming language. Then what is general purpose? Okay, now let me explain about general purpose. See, according to the number of kinds of applications, languages can be divided into two types. According to the number of applications, languages can be divided into two types. Okay, say according to different kinds of applications, languages can be divided into two types. What are those? First one is general purpose programming languages, and the second one is specific purpose programming languages. So according to the number of kinds of applications, we can divide languages into two types. First one is general purpose programming languages, second one is specific purpose programming languages. Okay, so what are the examples for general purpose programming languages? Okay, so most of the students already know that this C language is the general purpose programming language, and C++ is the general purpose programming language. So like that, Java is also a general purpose programming language. Then what are the examples for specific purpose programming languages? Okay, so here the name itself indicates specific purpose, means we can develop one kind of application only by using one language. By using one language, we can develop one kind of application only. We cannot develop many kinds of applications. For example, okay, the C language was introduced in 1972. C language was introduced in 1972. Before 1972, some languages were there. What are those languages? Like COBOL language. So using this COBOL language, we can develop business applications only. So COBOL stands for Common Business Oriented Language. COBOL stands for Common Business Oriented Language. We can develop only business applications. We cannot develop other kinds of applications. Okay. Next, Fortran language. Okay, this Fortran stands for formula translation. Fortran stands for formula translation. Using this language, we can develop only scientific applications like weather forecasting to know the report about the weather, that comes under scientific application. Predicting earthquakes comes under scientific application. Satellite communication, with the help of satellite communication only, we are working with the internet, we are working with the mobiles, we can communicate each other. Okay, so to perform such type of scientific applications, we can use Fortran. So Fortran is specially designed for the scientific applications. COBOL is specially designed for the business applications. Okay, so like that, MATLAB is there. MATLAB stands for Mathematical Laboratories. So MATLAB stands for, sorry, MATLAB stands for Matrix Laboratories. MATLAB stands for Matrix Laboratories. Uh, it was used to develop the mathematical applications. We can develop only mathematical related applications, matrices related applications. Okay. Uh, Next, graphic language. Graphic language. Using graphic language, we can develop only graphical applications. So such type of languages are called specific purpose programming languages. So using one language, we can develop how many kinds of applications? One kind of application only. Okay. So using one language, we can develop one kind of application only. So that's why these are called specific purpose programming languages. Whereas general purpose programming language, using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications. So we can develop business applications, we can develop scientific applications, we can develop mathematical applications, and we can also develop graphical applications. So like this, we can develop many kinds of applications. So these are the general purpose programming languages. C, C++, Java are the general purpose programming languages. But see here, using C, C++, we can develop business applications, scientific applications, mathematical applications, graphical applications. So it is called general, these are called general purpose programming languages. It's okay, fine. But using C, C++, we can develop only standalone applications. Using C, C++, we can develop only standalone applications. Now you may get a doubt, what is standalone application? Okay, so once again I'm repeating, there are two types of languages according to the number of kinds of applications. First one is general purpose programming languages. Second one is specific purpose programming languages. Using specific purpose programming languages, we can develop one kind of application using one language. For example, using COBOL, we can develop only business applications. We cannot develop other kinds of applications. Using Fortran, we can develop only scientific applications. We cannot develop other kinds of applications like that. So these are the examples for specific purpose programming language. Whereas general purpose means we can develop many kinds of applications. So we can develop business applications, scientific applications, mathematical applications, graphical applications by using C and C++. But those applications are called standalone applications. So using C, C++, we can develop only standalone applications. We cannot develop other kind of applications. Can we develop a website by using C, C++? No, we cannot develop website. Can we develop the mobile applications using C, C++? No, we cannot develop mobile applications. So using C, C++, we can develop only standalone applications and that can run on computer only. We cannot run on other devices. Using C, C++, we can develop only standalone applications and those can run on computer only. But using Java, now see what is the purpose of Java. Okay, using Java, mainly we can develop three kinds of applications. Those are standalone applications. Those are standalone applications. Okay. Second one is web applications. And third one is mobile applications. So using Java, we can develop standalone applications, web applications, and mobile applications. Okay. So that is the purpose of Java. So what is standalone application? So standalone application means the application that is developed to run in one system. The application that is developed to run in one system is called standalone application. For example, see, I want to watch the movies. To watch the movies, I have to use one software like Windows Media Player. I have to install Windows Media Player or VLC Media Player to watch the movies or to enjoy the music also. I have to install. Okay. So in my system, I'm installing that media player and I can watch the movies and I can enjoy the music. Okay. So that is intended to install in one system. So the software that is intended to run in one system, that is called what? Standalone application. For example, to read the PDF files, to read the PDF files, we are using Acrobat Reader. So to read the PDF files, I must install Acrobat Reader in my computer. If I don't install Acrobat Reader in my computer, I cannot read those PDF files. So that is developed to run in one computer. So the software that is developed to run in one computer is called what? Standalone application. So like that MS Office is there. To edit the photos, we are using Photoshop. For desktop applications, we are using PageMaker. All these are what? Standalone applications only. So what is standalone application? Standalone application means the application that is developed to the application that is developed to run in one computer or one system. The application that is developed to run in one system is called what? Standalone application. See, what are the examples? Okay, like Acrobat Reader. Acrobat Reader. To read the PDF files, we use this. Okay, media players. Okay, Photoshop. These are the examples for standalone applications. Okay, for example, see, I want to watch the movies. To watch the movies, I am installing VLC Media Player in your computer, but I want to watch the movies in my computer. Okay, is it possible? I don't have, for once again I'm repeating, I don't have any media player, but I want to watch the movies. I don't have any media player in my system, don't have any media player. I want to watch the movies. So I am installing media player software in your computer and I want to watch the movies in my computer. Is it possible? No, that is not possible. If I want to watch the movies in my computer, I must install media player in my computer only. Okay, such type of softwares are called what? Standalone applications. Okay, next, second type of application is web application. Web applications. So can we develop web applications by using Java? Yes. Using Java, we can develop standalone applications as well as web applications also. But using C++, we can develop only standalone applications. So the software developed by C++ can run in one system only. That cannot run in many systems or many devices. Okay. See, the second type of application is web application. So can we develop web applications using Java? Yes, we can develop web applications using Java. Okay, what are the examples for web applications? Like daily, regularly we are using so many social media websites like facebook.com, facebook.com, and for checking mails, we are using gmail.com, and our institute website, durgasoft.com. Okay, such type of websites. So twitter.com. Okay, such type of websites are called web applications. So web application means that software is installed in remote system. That software is installed in remote system. So that software is published in remote system. See, for example, I want to open Durgasoft. I want to open uh, Durgasoft website. So for that, what I am doing here, I'm typing the URL durgasoft.com. Okay. Now, whenever I am pressing enter key in my system, I'm typing this one. So now my system is the client system. So in the client system, in the Google Chrome, this Google Chrome is the browser. So this Google Chrome is the browser software. So this browser is also standalone application. To visit the websites, I must use this browser. So what are the examples for browser? Like Google Chrome, Opera, Mozilla Firefox, Netscape Navigator. All these are what? Browsers. So browser is the user side software that is used to visit the websites. I want to visit the website durgasoft.com. So where it is published in web server. Okay, now it is in the server, it is in remote system, but I want to access from here. Okay, uh, so I'm entering URL here, durgasoft.com. Okay, now it is displaying one page to us. So this page is called what? Web page. And this is the dynamic page. So server sent a dynamic page to us. So this such type of kind of applications, such type of applications are called web applications. So web application means it is published in web server, but that can be accessed by many clients through the internet via through the internet and by using the browser. Okay, so what is web application? Web application means the application that is published in remote system, that is published in the remote system. I'm calling as web server. Okay, sometimes it is server, sometimes web server, like that. So the application that is published in web server and can be accessed by many clients using browser via internet. So with the help of network only communication is possible. Okay, without a network communication is not possible. Now our system is client system, we want to communicate with the server, so network is required. So without network we cannot communicate. So that's why via network, okay, with the help of browser we are accessing those web pages which are in the web server. So those applications are called what? Web applications. So we can develop such type of web applications by using this Java. Okay, so using Java we can develop standalone applications, we can develop web applications. Standalone application means the application developed to run in one system, like calculator, notepad, MS Office, Photoshop, etc. Web applications means daily we are using several websites like gmail.com, durgasoft.com, facebook.com. These are the web applications. And next, another kind of applications, we can develop mobile applications also. So using Java, we can develop mobile applications also. So in the smartphone, daily we are using so many apps. For the payments, you are using the app like GPay, PhonePay. For online transactions, for online payments, you are using the softwares like GPay, PhonePay, Paytm, like that. You are using the softwares. Okay, and for chatting, for video calling, you are using the app WhatsApp. You are using Facebook Messenger. Okay, all these are what? All these are mobile applications only. So what is mobile application? The application, the application that is developed to the application that is developed to run in small devices. The application that is developed to run in small devices. Okay, what are the examples for small devices? Such as tab. In the tab we can use these applications. In the smartphones we can use these applications. In the PDAs we can use these applications. Okay, so all these are what? Small devices like tab, smartphone, PDA. PDA stands for personal digital assistant. Okay, or you can say this as palm top computer. PDA stands for personal digital assistant. See, every month to give the current bill, one electricity department person comes to our home and he checks the meter reading and he gives bill to us. So he comes along with one device. That device is called PDA, that is personal digital assistant. Okay, so to run our applications in such type of small devices, okay, we are using mobile applications. So these are the three different types of applications which we can develop by using the Java. So this is the purpose of Java. Okay, so once again I'm repeating, what is Java? Java is a general purpose high level programming language. Okay, high level language means we can develop application software only, we cannot develop system softwares, we cannot develop operating system, compiler, interpreters, device driver. We can develop only application softwares like bank management software, restaurant management software, institute management softwares, hospital management software. Such type of softwares we can develop by using the high level languages. And it is the general purpose programming language, means we can develop many kinds of applications like standalone applications, web applications, and mobile applications. Standalone application means that is developed to run in one system. Okay. What is web application means it is published in server and that can be accessed by the clients with the help of network. Those applications are web applications. Okay. Mobile applications means those applications are used to run in the small devices like smartphones, personal digital assistants, tabs, etc. So we can develop these three kinds of applications by using Java. Okay. Now see, listen carefully here. Next, see about what are the parts of Java. What are the parts of Java? See here. See, uh, Sun Microsystems, Sun Microsystems divided Java into three parts. Okay, so generally we are calling core Java, advanced Java. So this core Java, advanced Java terminology uh, is invented by some universities and some computer institutes, but this is not official terminology. Okay, so generally Java means Java, that is the Java programming language, Java language. Okay, so Sun Microsystems divided java into three parts, divided into three parts. So who divided this? Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems developed this Java software. Okay, so they divided this Java into three parts. What are those? First one is Java SE. Okay, SE stands for Standard Edition. SE stands for Standard Edition. SE stands for Standard Edition. Okay, second one is Java EE. Okay, EE stands for EE stands for Enterprise. EE stands for Enterprise Edition. EE stands for Enterprise Edition. And third part is Java ME. So ME stands for Micro Edition. Micro Edition. Okay. So Sun Microsystems divided Java into three parts. These are, first one is what? Java SE. Okay, Java EE and Java ME. So Java SE is the software which is used to develop the standalone applications. So if you want to develop the standalone applications, we must install Java SE. So you can download Java SE software from the Oracle website. So in the Oracle website, Java SE will be there. If you want to practice core Java, if you want to develop the standalone applications, you have to install what? Java SE. Okay, if you want to develop web applications or enterprise applications or distributed applications, yes, these are all softwares. Okay, these are all Java SE is the software, Java EE is the software, Java ME is the software. This Java is uh, to develop standalone applications, we must install what? Java SE. If you want to develop web applications, then you have to install what? Java EE. So Java EE is used to develop the web applications. So if you want to develop the web applications, you can download Java EE from the oracle.com. If you want to develop the standalone applications, you can download the software Java SE from the oracle.com. Okay, if you want to develop the mobile applications, you can download Java ME from the oracle.com. Okay, so using Java we can develop how many kinds of applications? Three kinds of applications. First one is standalone application, second one is web application, third one is mobile application. So to develop the standalone applications, we are using Java SE. To develop the web applications, we are using Java EE. To develop the mobile applications, we are using Java ME. So nowadays we are using these terms. In the initial days, they introduced this as J2 SE. So you can say this as J2 SE or Java SE. Okay, this Java double E can be also called as J2 double E. It can be also called as J2 double E. Okay, this Java ME is can be also called as J2 ME. So in starting days of introduction of Java, they have given names as J2SE, J2EE, J2ME. Later J2SE is renamed as Java SE. So nowadays we are using Java SE name. J2EE is renamed as Java EE, and J2ME is renamed as Java ME. So why they have given this name as a 2? So why they have given a name as 2 means in the Java several versions are there. So latest version is Java 14. Latest version is Java 14. From the Java 1 to 14, several versions are there. Okay, so first they released 1.0. Later they released 1.1. So when 1.0 is introduced or 1.1 was introduced, so many features were not there for Java. So most of the features are added in Java 1.2 version. So most of the features are added in Java 1.2 version. So that's why they have given number as 2 here. So that is uh, about J2SC, J2EE and J2ME. So these are the parts of Java. So our course is what? Core Java. If you want to uh, work with the core Java, you have to install what? Java SC software. Okay. So this is about, okay. Okay. So once again, I will explain. So see, somebody is asking why J2SE. Okay. See, listen. Just now I explained about different kinds of applications. So why Java SE? Because see, using Java, we can develop standalone applications, we can develop web applications, and we can develop mobile applications. Okay, so standalone application means what? That is developed to run in one system. Okay, for example, here I'm opening calculator, calc. Okay, so this calculator is one small application. So this is one small application, calculator. Okay, this is what standalone application. Okay, notepad, that is what standalone application. Okay, so to develop such type of standalone applications, so means to develop uh, if we want to run the software in one computer, we have to use what? Java SE. Okay, if we want to develop the website, if we want to develop the website, we have to use Java E. So why they have given name as J2SC? So generally this is the standard edition. So why they have given number as a 2 here? Because in the Java several versions are there. Okay, Java 1.0, uh, Java 1.1, Java 1.2, 1.3, like that. Latest one is Java 14. Okay, so after introducing 1.0, they introduced what? 1.1. So when 1.1 was introduced, so many features were not there in the Java. So that's why they added so many features. They added so many features to the Java language in which version? In 1.2 version. So in the Java 2 version, they added so many features. So that's why they have given name as 2 here. That's why they have given number as 2 here. So J2SC, we are calling that as a J2SC. Okay, thank you. See, so these are the different parts of Java. Okay, using Java SC, we can develop standalone applications. Using Java EE, we can develop web applications, and using Java ME, we can develop mobile applications. Okay, now see, listen. Now see about what is platform dependency and platform independency. Now see about what is platform dependency and platform independency. Platform dependency and platform independency. See, platform dependency and platform independency. So topic name is what is platform dependency and what is platform independency. Okay, now see here. So what is platform dependency? What is platform dependency? So the languages which are introduced before Java, the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages. So these are called platform dependent programming languages. Okay. So the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages. So when Java was introduced in 1995, in 1995 Java language was introduced. Then before Java, uh, was there any programming languages before Java? Yes, so many programming languages were there. What are those? What are those? Yes, cloud-based applications are also comes under web applications only. Cloud-based applications are also comes under web applications only. Okay, see here. So the languages which are introduced standalone applications can be also called as desktop applications. So standalone applications can be also called as desktop applications. So those desktop applications can be developed by the Java SE. Okay. Now, see, the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages. So what are those? In the 1983, one language was introduced. What is that one? C++. In the 1972, one language was introduced. What is that one? C language. So such type of C++ languages. Before C language, COBOL language, okay, ALGOL language, Pascal language, such type of several programming languages are there. All those languages are comes under platform dependent programming languages. So all the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages. So all the languages which are introduced after Java, including Java, all the languages which are introduced after Java, including Java, are called platform independent programming languages, or called platform independent programming languages. So the languages which are introduced before 1995 are called platform dependent programming languages. The languages which are introduced after Java, including Java, are called platform independent programming languages. Okay, then what are the examples for platform independent programming languages? Like Java language, okay, C#.NET, .NET languages like C#.NET, VB.NET, okay, Python language. Such type of languages are called platform independent programming languages. What are platform dependent programming languages? C, C++, COBOL. Okay, these are the platform dependent programming languages. Okay, now here you have to understand one point, that is what is platform. So platform means operating system plus microprocessor. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. So what is platform? Platform means combination of operating system and microprocessor. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. Then what are the examples for operating system? You already know that Windows, in the Windows several versions are there, like Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, and Windows Server operating systems are there. Okay, Linux operating system, Unix operating system. Okay, such type of operating systems are there. Then what are the examples for microprocessors? For the microprocessor, examples are like we are using Intel microprocessor, we have AMD microprocessor, Celeron microprocessor. What are these? These are the microprocessors. So Intel is a microprocessor, and AMD is the microprocessor. Celeron is the microprocessor. Okay. So what are the examples for operating systems? Windows 10, Linux, Unix. These are the operating systems. Listen carefully. Remember one point. Each and every operating system has its own language. Each and every operating system has its own language, and each and every microprocessor has its own language. It means, see, listen, the language which can be understood by the Windows may not be understood by the Linux or Unix. So Windows has its own language. The instructions which can be understood by the Linux may not be understood by the Windows or Unix. Okay, so like that, each and every operating system has its own language. So the instructions which can be understood by one operating system may not be understood by the other operating system. Then what about microprocessor? The instructions which can be understood by the Intel may not be understood by the AMD or Celeron. The instructions which can be understood by the AMD may not be understood by the Celeron or Intel. So like that, each and every microprocessor has its own language, and each and every operating system has also its own language. So combination of operating system and microprocessor is called what? Platform. Okay, what are the examples for platform dependent programming languages? C, C++ are the platform dependent programming languages. Java, C Sharp.NET, Python are the platform independent programming languages. So why we are calling C, C++ as the platform dependent programming languages, and why we are calling Java as the Java, C Sharp.NET, Python as the platform independent programming languages? Okay, now see here. uh, I'm opening one image here. I will explain execution process of a C program. Okay, because C language is the example of platform dependent programming language. So that's why I'm explaining C program execution here. See, listen, listen carefully here. Observe here, observe the image. So here I'm writing the C program. This is the C program. I'm showing with the cursor. Observe here. So I am writing one program here. This is the C program. So the code which is written in the language is called what? Source code. Now this is called source code. In the C language, I'm writing the program. I'm writing some code. That code is called what? Source code. That source code I am storing in one particular file with the name hello, and I'm giving extension as .c. So hello is the file name, and this .c is the extension of the file. For every file, extension will be there. For example, for audio file, extension is .mp3. For video file, extension is .mp4, .3gp, etc. Okay, so like that, for the Word documents, .docx. For the paint images, .bmp. So to identify the type of the file, we are using the extensions. So like that, for the C program, for the C file, extension is .c. So I am writing one program here, and I'm saving that program in one particular file. That is what? hello.c. So now this C program is stored. So this program is in high level language. Computer cannot understand this language because this is high level language. We can understand this code. Computer cannot understand. So that's why we use compiler in the C language. So we have to compile this program now. So to compile this program, generally in Windows operating system, what we do, we press Alt F9. So when you press Alt F9 key, what will happen? This source code will be translated to the machine code. The source code will be translated to the machine code. Okay, then that will not translate pre-processor directives. Like in the C language, we write hash include stdio.h. When we use printf function or scanf function, this printf scanf functions are defined in the stdio header file. So we write the pre-processor directive hash include stdio.h. So those pre-processor directives code will not be attached in the object file. So only the code which we written, that code will be translated to the machine code. So that preprocessor directives will not be translated. So after creating object file, okay, so I want to run this machine code now. To run once again I'm repeating, see, here we are writing the C program. This program is in high level language. To convert this to the low level language, we are pressing Alt F9. The code which we are writing will be translated to the machine code, but preprocessor directives will not be translated into machine code when you press Alt F9. So that file is called what? Object file. So object file means machine code plus preprocessor directives. Okay. Now this preprocessor directives, you are writing hash include stdio.h means that includes all the contents in the stdio header file. Okay. So to get those contents, we have to run this object file. To run this object file, what we are doing, we are pressing Control F9. So when you are pressing Control F9, what will happen? That preprocessor directives code. So for example, if you write hash include stdio.h, stdio header file contents will be attached. Okay, and that machine code is there. So machine code is there, and that preprocessor directives code is attached and placed in one particular file. That file is called what? Exe file. So now exe file has complete machine code. This machine code can be also called as native code, which can be understood by the operating system. So operating system language is machine code or native code. So only operating system can understand this. So exe file contains what? Machine code, which can be understood by the operating system. Operating system displays output to us. So this is the execution process of a C program. Once again, I'm repeating. So here we are writing the C program. Here we are writing the C program. That code is called source code. I am saving that program with the name hello.c is the extension of this file. This program is in high level language. Computer cannot understand it. To convert this to the machine language, I am pressing Alt F9. So when we press Alt F9, that code will be translated into machine code, but that will not attach preprocessor directives code. Okay, so that file is called what? Object file. When you press Control F9, what will happen? This preprocessor directives code will be attached. So complete machine code is there in the exe file. Now exe file has complete machine code, object file has semi machine code. That is, so this is the execution process of a C program. Now see, I'm showing this execution process practically. Observe carefully here. Okay, I'm opening C screen here. Observe carefully. Observe carefully. I want to write a C program now. Okay, so here I'm writing main. I want to print hello on output screen. So to print the data in C language, what we write? Which function we have to use? Printf function. I'm using printf function here. Okay, printf hello. This printf function is included in which header file? stdio header file. So that's why I'm writing the preprocessor directive here. Hash include stdio.h. Now this is what? This is the source code. This is the source code we are writing here in the C editor. In the C editor, I'm writing this source code. I want to save this one. So to save this, I'm going to the file menu and I'm clicking on save. Okay, I'm saving this in the folder, in the C drive, in the Turbo C3 folder. I'm saving this with the name hello, and I'm giving the extension here .c. So hello.c is the file name. Okay, that file is saved. Check here. Check here. Observe carefully. Okay, in the C drive, in the Turbo C3 folder, just now we created this file hello.c. Okay, so 17th June, time is 8:35. Okay, so this file is created just now. Okay, see, now I want to compile this program. So to compile this program, we have to press what? Alt F9. So when we press Alt F9, what will happen? One object file will be created. Okay. So here, this this code will be translated into the machine code, except this hash include stdio.h. Okay, that will be placed in one particular file. That file is called object file. So where this object file will be created, I am opening the folder, I'm opening the location. Observe here, in the C drive, in the turbo C3 folder, in the C drive, in the turbo C3 folder, source folder is there. Now this, I'm emptying this source folder. Okay, observe here, source folder is empty now. Now I want to compile. I want to compile this C program. I want to compile this C program. So to compile this C program, I'm pressing what? Alt F9. I'm pressing Alt F9 now. So when I press Alt F9, that is displaying one file in the back. See here, what is that file? Hello file. This is which type file? Object file. This hello is the object file. If you observe here, what it is displaying, lines compiled, that is displaying as 312. Okay, so here how many lines we have written? 4 lines only, but that is displaying that as 312 lines. So remaining 308 lines code is attached from the stdio header file. Okay, so that this machine code plus this pre-processed directives code is in this object file. Okay, now I want to run this one. I want to run this object file. So to run this object file, which key we have to press? Control F9. So I press the Control F9. Observe here in the back, one file is created here. That is application. So what is the extension of this one? That is .exe. So .exe file is created. Okay. So this is what? This is object file. Object file is created. So with this, practically I showed you. Okay, when we compile the C program, that creates what? Object file. When we run this object file, that creates what? Exe file. So this exe file contains what? Machine code. This exe file contains machine code which can be understood by the operating system. So that can be understood by the operating system. So operating system displays result to us. Okay, now listen carefully. Now this is one computer. Assume that this box is a computer. This computer has Windows 10 operating system. This computer has Windows 10 operating system. Okay, now this program developed in which operating system? Windows 10 operating system. So here machine code will be generated according to the Windows 10 language. So here machine code will be generated according to the Windows 10 Windows 10 operating system. And uh, now in my system, Intel microprocessor is there. So according to the Intel microprocessor, according to the Windows 10 operating system, this machine code will be generated. So this is Windows 10's language. This machine code is the Windows 10's language. Now I want to run this C program in another computer. This box is another computer. I want to run this program in another computer which has same operating system, Windows 10. Okay, now see, if you want to run the same program, if you want to run the same application developed in the C language in another system which has same operating system, just simply take this exe file and place that in the system. So take this exe file and place in another system. Now can we run this exe file, sir? Yes, we can run. Okay, why we can run? Because this exe file has what? Machine code. Okay, which operating system's machine code? Windows 10's machine code. So Windows 10's machine code can be understood by Windows 10. Windows 10's machine code can be understood by the Windows 10. So you can run this exe file directly here. So to the client, we are the programmers. Okay, to the clients, we will give exe file only. We will not give source code. Okay, but here another client is there. Another client is there. So this same program another client wants to use in his system, but his system has Linux operating system. That another client system has Linux operating system. So he wants to run this C application in his system. So can he run this one means, so if we place this exe file in this Linux system, the system which has Linux operating system, in that system I am placing this hello.exe file. Now, can we run this hello.exe file in this Linux system? No, we cannot, because this exe file has machine code which can be understood by the Windows 10. So this is Windows 10's machine code. Windows 10's language cannot be understood by the Linux. So Linux is not understanding this code, so you cannot run the application. So it is operating system dependent, and it is microprocessor dependent. So combination of operating system and microprocessor is called what? Platform. So that's why we are calling C and C++ as the platform dependent programming languages. Okay. So now I stop our session here, because now the time is uh, 8:42. Okay, so now I stop the session. Continuation part I will explain in next class. So just today we discussed what is Java, what is the purpose of Java, uh, and we discussed parts of Java, and also we discussed about platform dependency. Now continuation of this, tomorrow I will explain about platform independency practically. Okay, so someone asked that is there any prerequisites are required to learn the Java? So this Java is the very fundamental course. Okay, you have no need of prerequisites. Okay, without programming knowledge also you can learn this Java course, because this is a basic course. So our class timings are daily. I will take from 7:30 to 7:30 to 8:15. So our class timings are 7:30 to 8:15. Okay, in the morning session, this is Indian Standard Time. Okay, in the morning 7:30 to 8:15 our class will be there. Okay, so somebody is asking about Python, so please call to the Durga Soft. Okay, so our class timings are 7:30 to 8:15. So daily 1 hour 15 minutes I will take our class. So for this our course duration is, I will take 60 classes, 60 to 70 classes. So within 60 to 70 classes I will try to finish our course. Okay, if you want to see the syllabus is available in the Durga Soft website. You can visit there. Okay, but starting classes I will take for 1 hour only. Starting classes I will take 1 hour only. So after completion of your registration formalities, okay, I will take class for 1 hour 15 minutes. Okay, so shall I stop the session? Okay, so uh, I will send notes to you to your mail ID after completion of your registration formalities. After I am explaining about notes only. Listen. After completion of your registration formalities, I will collect your mail IDs and I will send notes to you. Okay, for every 2 3 classes, or for every 1 week, I will send notes to your mail ID. Okay, so shall I stop the session? Okay, okay, thanks to all.